The 2021 Subaru Impreza is an incredibly well-rounded vehicle for its segment. However, with the popular choice CVT transmission, it lacks enthusiast appeal. However, Subaru still makes a 5-speed manual transmission for the Impreza. So today I'm going to share with you the driving dynamics of the 3-pedal Impreza. And I'm also going to tell you what you can and can't get if you do opt for this transmission. So stick around. If you haven't done so already, consider subscribing. It helps you get quality content and it helps me get closer to making this a full-time gig. Thank you. Now back to the review. For the 2021 model year, the Impreza manual transmission is only available in 2 trims. That would be the base trim and the sport trim. There is no optional package with the manual transmission, so that means you won't get things like a sunroof. Both the sport and the base will also have halogen headlights. No actual fog lights come on the manual Impreza, but you can buy them as an accessory on the base if you want. The sport has some running lights that aren't technically fogs. When it comes to style, the sport has you covered with glossy black trim, tweaks to the front bumper, and side skirts. To me, the Impreza's inoffensive style, paired with flat black mirrors and 16-inch hubcaps, gives the base trim less swagger than a 16-year-old getting chased by a goose. There are pros though. The more chunky wheels result in an even more comforting ride than the 18-inch rims on the Sport. Oh, no tailpipes on hatch models too. Real quick, I would like to thank the knowledgeable folks at Royal Subaru in Bloomington, Indiana for loaning me the Impreza for this review. If you're looking for something new, used, or just plain cool, check them out. Another key difference, if you get the Sport trim Impreza manual, you will only be able to get the hatchback now. It used to be you could get both. If you get the base, you can get the sedan and the hatch. I'm glad to say that if you get the Sport trim, you will get keyless entry with proximity unlock and lock, and that also means that you have push button start. On the inside, you're going to have a pretty polarizing choice with the stick. If you get the base model, you're going to get the standard touchscreen, which is a 6.5-inch unit. It's really simple to use. However, it feels very dated. It would feel appropriate in a car made in 2013. The 8-inch unit is much nicer. Now, if you don't really care about tech stuff, this is more than fine. It has your Bluetooth, it has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and obviously the 8-inch unit will have that too. It's just gonna have a quicker response time and a nicer aesthetic, better colors, deeper blacks, all that. So if you do value tech, the Sport is probably the one to go with. It also will have a 6-speaker audio system, whereas the base model will only have a 4-speaker, which definitely lacks crisp clarity with high frequencies. It's okay though. The 6-speaker is noticeably better, but still nothing to brag about. Both base and sport models will have manually adjustable 6-way seats that hold you in well enough, but lack lumbar adjustment, so they will take some getting used to for a lot of drivers, including myself. The sport seats will flaunt a multicolored look and a heated function. Both trims forego automatic climate control, and both trims have analog gauges, with the Sport getting a less clear black and red treatment. The base model will have some no-frills, non-color information screens, whereas the Sport adds color displays that boast more stuff. And one big positive to manual transmission owners, you get a handbrake still. Base models will also have less soft materials for your elbows. I also definitely like the stitched red interior of the Sport. It just feels like a more expensive car. Now, if you're fine with this kind of economy feel, the Impreza base does at least feel rugged in a sense. The plastics and stuff really don't creak or anything. With both of them, there's not really that much piano black plastic, so there's nothing there to catch fingerprints and garner scratches and stuff like that. Now, I do love the Sport steering wheel because you will have a stitched wheel with leather, whereas the base, you're only going to get this vinyl stuff. Now, I've done a full review of this car, so if you want more than just Impreza manual questions answered, I would watch that video. My quick thoughts of the interior is that it is practical, it offers great visibility, it feels somewhat rugged, but the quality of materials is still lower than what you might find in a Mazda3, Honda Civic, or Toyota Corolla. Oh yeah, and the back seat is actually reasonable. I can fit my 6'3" self behind me. I'm glad to report that the Impreza with the manual transmission can still be had with some of the nicer amenities that Subaru offers, or you can still get it pretty bare bones, which is something that I wish the Mazda 3 still did. Now, when it comes to driving dynamics,
Man, is this transmission a throwback. The Subaru Impreza itself is a comfortable, well-mannered vehicle with modern underpinnings, but the transmission, it feels old in a good way. So the stick shift in here is a 5-speed only. You are paired up to a 2-liter naturally aspirated boxer or flat 4. Taking off in the Impreza is incredibly easy. That was a hill start. You can learn to shift very smooth. The transmission's action, the shifter itself, provides surprisingly short throws. The action is also satisfying. It's not too notchy. In fact, I would say that I prefer this shifter to the Subaru Crosstrek until I start to get up to highway speed. Right now, we're cruising 2,500 RPMs, 64 miles per hour.
I was easily able to beat the EPA rating in the 6-speed Crosstrek, but if you drive on the highway a lot, especially above 65 miles per hour, this will not get good gas mileage. A 6th gear would have been nice. The CVT will definitely be more efficient. I don't think the margin is as big as the EPA claims, but the manual will bully you more for gas money than the CVT. So does the extra petrol equate to extra acceleration? Kind of. The manual is about 70 pounds lighter than the auto and has less drivetrain loss. However, obviously the CVT doesn't have to shift, and all-wheel drive manual launches require high RPM clutch drops and/or skillful modulation to get them right, especially since the low torque of this engine makes it easy to bog the Impreza down. I did not want to do that in this new car. 0 to 60 times from other outlets show similar times between the two, with a slight edge going to the stick, if any. The quickest I have seen was 8.4 seconds. Most show around 9 seconds. Forgetting the numbers, the manual makes this engine feel more energetic.
The lack of a 6th gear doesn't really affect me too much on these back roads. I don't feel like these gear ratios are too long. Yes, the engine is pretty gutless. Going around these corners, I'm still having a pretty reasonable amount of fun. Since Subaru has all-wheel drive standard and a boxer engine that lowers the center of gravity, this car doesn't need to be super stiffly sprung in order to provide good handling.
It's no sports car. The uninspiring engine and numb, but not completely lifeless steering reminds you of that. In short, the Impreza offers a forgiving and comfortable ride, but its excellent platform with independent rear suspension, a low center of gravity, sure-footed all-wheel drive, and accurate steering make the thing easy to navigate on a rough road at speed with high confidence. If you choose the Sport model, you're going to get an exclusively tuned suspension that's a little bit stiffer along with those 18-inch wheels, so the ride is going to be a bit more harsh, but I still found it to be more than tolerable.
Over rough roads like this one, as you can see, it's good. I have no complaints. This honestly rides as well as most small SUVs when it comes to comfort. Now the clutch. This is where a lot of new cars start to fall short when it comes to manual transmissions. Often they are extremely light, they are super vague, making it kind of hard to feather it. And I mean, you get used to it, but still, there's a certain level of clunkiness to them. And this one, not so much the case. I pretty much immediately got into this and was fine, mainly because the clutch bites way down low, and it's pretty linear. It doesn't just grab immediately. You can modulate it much easier than what I've seen with many other cars.
Nothing about this transmission will surprise you in a bad way. Yes, the shifter lacks a little bit of precision when compared to the Honda Civic and Mazda3, but it makes up for that with vibrations and feedback. You feel the powertrain in a way that small, cheap cars only used to provide. The transmission is old and feels as such, but I prefer that outside of the whole 6th gear thing. Now, when it comes to an active safety suite, there is no active safety suite. While it appears to be less of an issue among manual buyers, this is a drawback compared to its competitors. You will still get a hill hold function, but no Subaru EyeSight, which is standard on the CVT and includes adaptive cruise, forward collision mitigation, and lane keep assist. Blind spot and rear cross traffic alert are unavailable as well.
This comes with a 50-50 split all-wheel drive system. That's its natural state, which is big because a lot of systems are front biased. This is actually built ground up all-wheel drive.
which means it is full time and it can actually send well over 50% of torque to either axle if needed, which is atypical for small crossovers in cars. Summary, it's hard to catch it slipping. I was more detailed in my full review, but this has had stellar reliability since 2013, which was the last year that these had an oil consumption problem. In-car electronics like the infotainment system have been the biggest issue as of late, but that isn't super widespread. This is shaping up to be very dependable. Overall, while it won't replace your old Civic Si, there's character in the stick-shift Impreza, more so than even the manual Crosstrek. The Impreza's 5-speed is like a healthy relationship. Rare, low stress, fun in day-to-day life, but most importantly, there's communication. This thing gives feedback. Unfortunately, as I talked about in my Crosstrek review, Subaru does not want to allocate many to dealers. I used to sell Subarus, and depending on the time of the year and where you are, it can be nearly impossible to get one without traveling far or ordering one and waiting a few months. After talking with the Toyota sales manager about the manual Tacoma, he told me that Toyota refuses to allocate enough manual tacos to meet demand because the EPA ratings on them are lower, and they bring down the brand's numbers as a whole. I think that's what's happening here too. While I know demand isn't high for these, I think it might be more than what the abysmal manual take rate numbers might suggest. If you have the drive to find a manual Impreza, this one has that analog feel that I believe a lot of manual buyers look for. I would not call this a driver's car, but it has character with the stick shift. If you're looking for a reliable new car that delivers a throwback, mechanical experience while still packing modern amenities and a good ride, and you don't mind pokey straight-line performance and a less fancy interior, I have no problem recommending the Impreza 5-speed. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.